Hello and welcome to Clamp, the Creating, Living, and Making podcast. I'm your host, Morley Kurt, and joining me as always is Adam Mackey.
G'day.
And A. Grant Alexander.
I don't know who that is.
One of many.
Right. I know the Grant Alexander. I don't know who a Grant Alexander is.
I think he's your twin. We have the other. Yeah. You have the secret twin.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm very happy to be speaking to the secret twin of the Grant Alexander this week. But before we get to him, Adam, what's been going on this week?
Sweet F all. No, seriously, I've pretty much done nothing. I've just worked, come home, slept, gone to work, and that's it. I mean, I still go to the gym every day and stuff, but I haven't. I actually was thinking about it today. Like, I haven't stepped foot in my shop for like 2 months.
Do you think that's correlated with going back to the gym more regularly? Like that's been taking up your time, kind of.
I don't think it's that. It's just not having the motivation to want to be in there. I don't know. Sort of trying to get my life back on track and everything. So I don't know.
It makes sense. Yeah. Focusing on one thing at a time.
Yeah, I've had heaps of like free time lately, but I don't know. I don't have the energy to do anything.
I feel you there.
Yeah, I'll get back there eventually.
You've been too busy editing podcasts and posting stuff on Instagram a day late. I mean,
a day late, yeah. But that's exactly it though. Like it all ties into that. Like I just my head's just not where it needs to be right now.
Gotcha. Well, you'll get there. And making a alarm for the the Instagram post is probably a good first step.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Recurring alarm every week.
And it seriously takes me like a minute to do the post.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, Grant.
You should talk with Vincent about how he schedules them. Because I think you can just do it through the Facebook Business Center. But
yeah, I just have to link the account.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look into that.
Cool.
All right, Mr.
What have I been
Alexander.
working on?
Yeah, it's good to meet you. I've heard so much about you.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of new here. I've also not been getting out. Go ahead.
We like your brother more, but it's okay. You can stay.
All right. Well, thank you. I've also not been getting out to the shop as much as I'd like to, but I have been working on a very old dresser. It was in my brother's house when I came back from Austinville High Caliber Cramp. I picked this up along the way, and I started it needed to be refinished. Like some of the finish was coming off and it was scratched and dinged and whatever, but it's a solid wood dresser with dovetails and all that fun stuff. But I started working on it and I pulled out one of the drawers and I saw it had a stamp on the inside that showed it was from a furniture maker in Ottawa. I went, oh, that's interesting. Like, how many furniture makers could there be in Ottawa? So I looked up the name. And it turns out that particular furniture maker in the town I currently live in went out of business in 1935 and really switched up between the First World War and when they went out of business. They really switched and stopped making house furniture and started making like library and school furniture. So and then during the war, they were doing war-related stuff, so they weren't making furniture at all. So based on all of that information, I'm working on a dresser that's over 100 years old. So that's kind of cool, but it's going to be my last restoration of an old thing, like piece of furniture didn't do well on YouTube. So this one's just going to be a before and after picture on Instagram. I think I could pull a story out of it if I had filmed it, but I don't know. Kind of happy I didn't.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Then I also got some new shoes, and kind of invested in my
Don't you dare.
in my feet, because my old ones were literally worn through the bottom. They weren't obviously waterproof anymore. Not that really matters. But that's what I mainly wear around the shop, and they were just needed to be replaced. If you go on my Instagram, you can actually see the post I made showing, because they still made the same design of shoe, so I ordered the exact same one because I'm broken, and if I find something that works, I just keep ordering the same until they discontinue it. But anyways, I showed, and it's kind of interesting to see, and I'm pretty sure the ones that I'm throwing out were 5 years old, and obviously the new ones were brand new. But it's interesting to look at how I wear, like where it wears down on my feet.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I literally feel an inch taller.
my like current lineup of shoes in terms of what I wear regularly is like my steel-toed Blundstones, which I wear pretty much every day to work. And then my Vans skate shoes, which are super thin on the bottom. So I have like the two extremes and nothing in the middle. I feel like I really need like a middle ground shoe.
So I have a pair of Blundstones, and I don't know what it is about them. I think they're defective, because when I walk, one of my feet just goes numb from whatever the pressure points, but it's only one foot, and it's never happened on any other like thing. And I just thought, when I first got them, I just thought, oh, like I must have two different slightly sized feet, and this will wear in. Well, it's been 2 years, and they still go numb every time I wear them.
That's
so weird. I basically can only walk for about 5 minutes in them at a time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. I really like the way they look. I like the way they go on. I like everything about Blundstones except for the fact that I can't walk for more than 5 minutes without my foot falling asleep.
It's a tragedy.
Too many pairs of shoes. I just bought a new pair of shoes for the gym, and they're the Rock collaboration special.
Nice.
Yeah.
Motivation.
What is this? What does it smell like? Does it smell like the Rock? What the Rock is cooking?
That's what I say. Whatever he's cooking.
All right. Well, this week, I've been chugging along on the hand crank sewing machine. I'm really loving that thing. I actually got Eden using it this week as well. So before I pulled the trigger on this machine, we were talking about getting a more standard sewing machine, a modern electrically powered one. And then when I looked at this, I was like, oh, I guess we could really do everything that we want to with this. So she's been wanting to use it. So she repaired a couple pairs of pants this weekend. And last week I put out the travel wallet video, which I was like super happy with. I was really happy with like the vibe of it. And it was kind of funny. Like I kind of just winged the design, I winged the design on that wallet. Kind of like, I have some base knowledge of sewing and how bags go together. And then after I made it, I was like, I want to get more practice on this machine. And so Eden has this zippered pouch, which is not too different from the wallet that I made. And so I turned it inside out, figured out how it was made, and then made one out of like an old pair of corduroy pants. And it came out like so much cleaner than the wallet that I made like a full produced video on. I was like, this is what I do. I do something, I wing it, and then afterwards I figure out the proper way to do it. But it's fun because it's like, I feel like it's all these like stepping stones towards the backpack. Another kind of thing, I guess, in relation to that. So as I mentioned in the podcast, I think like 2 weeks ago, I was going to wax the canvas for this, but I was using this like synthetic, really tightly woven canvas.
This non-canvas canvas.
Yeah. And it didn't work like at all. So I melted the wax, I brushed it on, then I took a hairdryer to it, and I'll just kind of like beat it up, and didn't even come close to soaking into the fibers. So now I know, and I actually watched a full tutorial. The same thing again. I tried it, didn't work, and then I found out the proper way to do it afterwards. It's my MO.
So I'll just put this out here for anyone listening. if you have fabric that is currently waterproof or water resistant or water beats off of it, you're going to be unlikely to have other liquids to not also beat off of it.
It's a fantastic point. But that being said, now that I know the proper way to do it and have some more kind of hours on the sewing machine under my belt, I'm like really starting to chomp at the bit to make the backpack. I think I'm going to get it done like well in time for the deadline we set. What was it, March? Or was that the halfway point? I don't know. Regardless, I think I'll get it done before long. And I'm excited too because like the thing about making an item like this is you can make it look so different from anything you bought in stores. Like I'm thinking about some like cool patterned fabric or bright colors or something.
Well, and like every pocket that you put into it can actually serve a real purpose. Like I have a backpack that I absolutely like. I like it, but then I put a water bottle in the water bottle pocket, and it like falls out while you're walking. And you're like, why is this? It's like just a little bit too short to fit like on the spot where the water bottle gets smaller. And I'm like, God,
that's how you tell a quality backpack. It has a very deep water bottle packet. Whoa, I can't speak. Water bottle pocket.
Right. So I've got another one where the water bottle pocket's too deep. Right. So then you can't like reach it, like you're reaching into it. And I'm like, the nice thing is when it's out, you can grab it easily, like just grabbing behind you and feel it. You don't have to reach into it. There's like a sweet spot. And if you were at High Caliber Camp, you got those little water bottle things that Dean had. They're perfect. I might just sew one of those onto the side of a backpack.
Oh, there you go. And then you could have like clips on it.
I had a bag once that had like a strap that came over the top. It was like two elastic bands, and then it had like a clip, and that would hold the bottle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I also might sound a little different this week. Apologies for sounding like hot garbage last week. I'm not really sure why it happened, but it happened back to back on Clamp and Into the Spotlight. And then I recorded the Patreon podcast and it sounded great. So I don't know what's going on with that mic or if it's the cable or the interface. It sounded great on my end, Grant. I don't know why you're giving it. It sounded way better than either of the other podcasts.
Fair.
But I was like, I've had this thing for like 5-6 years. It's time to upgrade. I'm doing enough audio content. So I dropped some coin on the Blue Yeti, which I've been using in the past couple of days. So that's what I'm recording in now. And hopefully we have no more issues with the audio from my end. And it actually has a functional stand, unlike the Snowball. So very happy with this thing.
Yeah, the Snowball really doesn't have a good stand, does it?
No, it's so low. It doesn't make any sense. Unless you have, like, I used to stack it on piles of books to get it up in front of my mouth.
Which defeats the purpose.
Yeah. But yeah, it feels good to like make a little investment in something that I spend a lot of time doing. I feel like as this year is coming to a close, I'm thinking about a few more pieces of equipment that I want to get to make my production better, make my life easier. I've always edited videos only on my laptop screen, but at work I use an external monitor, which is a luxury. So
my God, I don't know if I could do it anymore on my laptop screen, just my laptop screen. That's, I've done 1 or 2 videos on that. And then I immediately went out and got like a 27-inch screen. And I just went, like, how can you do this?
You know what it's really convenient for is like if you're looking at 2 things at the same time, like if you're looking at a document or working on another document, that's the best. I don't mind it too much while video editing, but I know that having a bigger screen to look at will just make it a better experience.
So just to go back to it a little bit, I put the video editing on the big screen and I put all my clips on the little screen so I can pull a clip over. Right. And I can see all the clips and I can see like images and like if you had like a story or script that you have that you want to put out or your, any ideas or anything you can put on the other screen and then you have your editing just on one screen and that's the only thing you do on that screen. And anything else you want to do, you want to look up a fun technique on how to like, make my clamps disappear. That's on the other screen. It's just like having 2 screens is like a game changer.
I do it all on one screen.
Changer.
I just
It
minimize.
yeah, I guess it does kind of minimize distractions if you only have one screen to work off of.
No, like I
But it's
I
also
just minimize my editing program and then look at whatever I want to look at.
but it's kind of like working in a shoebox, right? If you have one little screen to work on, like you don't realize how much your world is constricted until you clean off your desk and then have some space to actually spread out. Which this is going to make me do as well, because I think I would want to set it up in like my workshop, and I'll need to make that place a little more orderly before I start injecting like working regularly in a computer in there.
Yeah. I used a dual setup a couple of weeks ago for the first time at my mate's house. So I used like one screen for the game I was playing, and then one screen with like Discord and stuff. And like it is a game changer. But I don't know if editing it would really help me, because I drop all my clips into my editing program.
It won't hurt you. I can tell you that.
It will open up new possibilities that you never even crossed your mind.
I don't know if I really generally need any other programs while I'm editing, but
well, to make it into a bit more of a general metaphor, that's the nice thing about like when you invest in a piece of equipment or something, like you might get it for one reason, but then you start using it and it allows you to do things that like, because we all operate like with certain assumptions of mind. You're like, this is what I can do. This is how much time I have to do it. So this is how much I can output. But once you start like increasing, it sounds very obvious, but once you start increasing your capabilities, it unlocks things that like possibilities that you don't expect. And that's what I found with the 3D printer, right? Like I got it for kind of an ambiguous reason. I got those stimulus checks, and I was like, well, now I'm $1,000 richer that I wasn't expecting and I didn't really need. And I feel like I could do a lot with a 3D printer in an apartment. So let's just get one and start doing stuff.
And now,
I mean, I had it, I've been printing a 3D printed knife twice a day for the last weeks.
Now you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. But like, I had a list of like, I wouldn't buy it if I didn't have anything that I wanted to do, but I had a list of like 5 to 10 things, but you kind of know in the back of your head that there's all these other projects that are possible as well.
Yeah.
Well, when you get a new tool and you invest in that, it can open up a lot of things, but you can also, it also can make you less creative, because you now are thinking, oh, this is the only, like, now I have to use this tool, right? Now you like kind of force yourself into using a tool, even though it may not be the best way, right? Like all of a sudden now you're using your CNC for everything because you can, right? And now you're making like straight cuts that you could have made on the table saw in 3 seconds on the CNC, right? And that kind of stuff. And I just think like sometimes it's not as much of an investment as people want to believe that it is, especially when they're talking about high value things. They end up like, whenever someone thinks about getting like a Festool sander and they're a hobbyist and they don't have a lot of money. Like, I don't care. You got tons of money. Go buy whatever tools you want. But you're not doing it as an investment in your business. But if you don't look at it as like, I'm going to be able to do something faster or better, but you try and like, a lot of times I feel people try and justify these investments because they can, right? Like they just want a new tool. It has nothing to, there's no real investment there. Like whenever I hear Austin talking about buying another like machine, like metal lathe or whatever, I just go like, what do you need all that for, Austin? Like, you're not investing in yourself anymore. You're doing it for your fun, and that's fine. But don't say it's an investment. And I don't think he does. But every time I hear it, it makes me think this.
You're just throwing shade just because.
Well, because he's, you know what? Sometimes he just whines about stuff like a little bitch.
No, and that's I understand where you're coming from. It's an easy trap to fall into, to like convince yourself that you need something. And I've been second guessing that with this monitor. Like, I do perfectly fine editing on a laptop screen, but part of it also for me comes down to like ergonomics, like sitting at my laptop and you're looking down when you're at a desk, and it's definitely not good for your back. So I'm just thinking about like, even if I wasn't using multiple screens, just being able to be in like a more comfortable position where I'm not giving myself long-term back problems is probably worth $200.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everything comes down to, you can convince yourself everything is worth money. And,
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
and it's all worth it. And if you had unlimited funds, it would be all worth it. But there becomes a point diminishing returns on your investment. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
one thing I think investing in myself, I think about, like for my job, I could learn French. I already speak French, but I could learn it better. Right. And that'd be a great investment in myself. They're willing to pay for me. They bought me Rosetta Stone, and I don't do it. One, because Rosetta Stone was literally written in the 90s, and like all the people's videos are, the cars are from the 90s. The people have hair from the 90s. They're talking about fax machines in the business world. And I'm like, nobody faxes anymore. Anyways, that's another thing. And I just can't get into it. But I have a hard time investing in myself because I know where that could lead, and I don't like it.
Can you
I don't
expand on that?
Yeah. I know if I invest in myself, I could get promotions, right? Like obviously I'd have to apply for them and whatever, and it could lead to like an executive position in the government and whatever. And I know that would be more money in my pocket, but it'd also be less. I'd get into roles where they would take more demanding on my time and my amount of like computing that I can do in my brain every day. And I don't want to, like, at the end of the day, I already feel in the job I'm at, it can be stressful. It can be, trying. And I wouldn't want to get into a position where I'm, maxing myself out so that I don't have any fun stuff at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think part of me,
go on.
yeah,
Finish your thought.
I think part of me doesn't do the French training because I want to use that as my excuse of why I'm not going ahead.
I mean, I think that's a good point that like, just because you can do more, do better, make more money doesn't mean it's necessarily going to give you a better life or even make you more money, because maybe you have less time to do other things that you valued more highly above that. I mean, it's something I think we're seeing everywhere a lot now. People are walking away from stressful, high-paying jobs because a lot of people are, like nurses, for example, are figuring out that it's not really worth it at a certain point. And I've thought about that with like on a smaller scale, like with these razor knives, for example. Like, yes, I could, I want to produce them and sell the physical products, but that would mean I would have to put in the work of producing and selling the physical products.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I didn't do that, then it's the opportunity cost. You have time to do other things. So yeah, on the more physical investment side of things, one of the things that holds me back is like, I really have this aversion to being buried in a mountain of stuff, especially at this point in my life. And like, it stresses me out the more things that I have around me. In this apartment that I know is,
as he just is buying a new monitor, buying a new microphone, buying a new giant sewing machine.
That thing's small. No, but it's true. Like each of those things comes with it this like mental baggage of like, well, that's one step closer to like the last thing I'm going to get at this place, or got to start getting rid of some other stuff. But it is like, it's proven time and time again, when I make those correct decisions, when it comes time to invest in myself, like it blows my doors wide open. And I think, we're also in very different spots, right? Like you're in an established career and you're talking about like changing up that career. Whereas I'm like just starting out and thinking like, well, how can I turn this into a sustainable career? And so there's like,
Right.
there's all these kind of avenues I can look at and go down. And I think about it like, yeah, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I guess it's like a lot. I hear a lot of people go like, I want to become like, I know you wanted, I've watched your YouTube video where you went like, I'm going full-time maker, YouTuber, whatever. It wasn't exactly YouTuber, but you said it. I want to go full-time at this. So I've quit my job. Right. And great. And but you didn't go out and then go and I bought a red camera and I bought all this like ridiculous stuff. There's people who do that, who go, I'm investing in myself by buying $10,000 worth of stuff to start my YouTube business. And I don't want those people. I don't want anyone who listens to this to think that's investing in yourself, because I don't think it is.
Actually, I disagree with that. I wish I had more of that quality. So I'm definitely averse to taking risks in that way, of like going into debt to do something like that, which, I have no debt. I'm very like happy having no debt, but I think sometimes there's a time to take a risk. And I see it a lot in my work where they'll spend money. We're getting an embroidery machine, which is an incredible piece of an equipment that we don't currently have. I mean, it will open up a lot of opportunities. It's not like we need it right now, but we're getting it because it's going to open up new things. And it's definitely a risk. And I see that and I'm like, that's like, it's risky, but it also has a pretty big potential upside. I'm not saying I want to start spending $10,000 on machines, but I feel like I can use a little more of that quality in my own life.
I guess I hear where you're coming from, but they see an opportunity and are willing to risk the money for it. Whereas a lot of people just go, they don't see an opportunity. Like if I wanted to start a YouTube career, right, and I spend $10,000, I haven't made $10,000 yet, right? And I produced for a year, I produced a video a week, right? And I know I didn't produce the best videos in the world, but I don't think I produced garbage videos either. And so I look back at that and go, if I had spent $10,000, you're going to get like a 10-year payoff to get $10,000 back from YouTube. Like you got to think, I guess it's more, if you think there's a reasonable expectation that this will pay you off, like Austin, again, to bring him back, he talked about getting his first like metal lathe, and he went, I can buy this part that I can make. I can make it for, I don't know, 1 cent, and I can buy it for 6 cents. So all I got to do is make X number of them. And if I make this many of them, I've paid off my machine. And so he said, like, I don't know, if it was a year later, he went, I've made enough now. If I only had made that, and obviously it expanded his thing, I've paid off my machine. So when you see opportunities like that, it makes sense to invest in yourself. When you just go, I'm investing in myself, because like without there's no return on investment. You don't actually have something. You're just hoping that if I spend enough money will come back on me.
Yeah.
Right? Like do YouTube, grow with your phone, right? Grow with a GoPro or whatever. Then if you see the opportunity, invest.
So
there's no point
Adam,
in going.
You go.
So I was going to say, there's no point in buying the best of the best and then not have put in the work to begin with. Like as you said, you go spend $10,000 on a red camera, and then you might not even find that you enjoy it or that you have the time to even do it. Start off with something small and affordable, get your business up and running, and then invest in the business. Like I didn't go out and spend and buy a full sheet $30,000 CNC. I bought a $1,500 CNC that I know is reliable, that I can use to start my business, and then I can upgrade in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So Grant, what you're describing is a dumb person who's gonna spend $20,000 on equipment with no plan and expect to make money off of that. And of course, those people exist. But the other archetype that comes to my mind is someone like Kevin Raposo, who we interviewed on Into the Spotlight. Mm-hmm. And he invested heavily in the start of his YouTube channel. He has fantastic graphic design. He built a website. He started an entire course. He bought lights. He has all this production equipment. And yeah, it was a risk, but he had the skills to back it up. And I think now he's rocking, 10, 20,000 subscribers. And I'm sure a certain amount of signups for his course. Right. So I understand that there's people who are going to waste money or just spend it on a dream, for lack of a better term. But I think you shouldn't discount that there are people that are also going to spend money and like, have the skills and plan to back it up.
Okay, before Adam goes, I know he's got something, but Kevin was into photography, was into videography, then started and he wanted to teach, and he has this whole plan put in place.
Mm-hmm.
That is a big difference between what I'm talking about. Someone who goes, I've quit my job at the factory. I'm going to go full time on YouTube, and I need a red camera. And
But who is this person who you're talking about? Like, do these people exist?
There are people that do it.
Red cameras are like $60,000.
This is exactly the point I was going to make too. You say that he had the skills to back it up. How do you know that? Because he's already been in the mindset and the industry of being trying to do the photography and everything to begin with. Whereas you have someone that's going to go, I'm going to quit my job at Macca's tomorrow. I'm going to go buy a $5,000 camera and I'm going to be a photographer. Like, that's not how it works. You can't just go put yourself in a ton of debt and go, I'm going to be this thing. Because you could do that and then never actually know how to use a camera properly. And then you never take off. You never become a photographer.
I would say the other side of it, though, you might not have the experience, but there are definitely people that have the motivation and the drive to teach themselves, and I'm sure can make it happen. I think there's people all across the spectrum. And
I think the problem is you're talking about outliers. And I'm saying I don't want.
You're also talking about outliers. Not everyone is quitting their job and spending $10,000 to start a failed YouTube channel.
But what I'm saying is, don't invest. If you're going to invest in yourself, make sure it's actually an investment in yourself. And when you invest, there's a plan, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people buy a new tool because they want to, and then they backwards justify it as an investment, and it's not.
Right. Okay. Fair point.
Let's get out of this negative hole that I've dug us into.
No, that was negative. That was an interesting conversation.
Okay,
I enjoyed it.
But I think it. I did want to expand a little bit though. Is where does the drive come from though? Like, do you have the drive because you actually think you want to be a YouTuber, or do you have the drive because you see all these people that are successful in YouTube and go, I'm going to be that person? You see people that make millions of dollars a year playing games on YouTube, and you think, oh, that's easy. I could do that. I'll go spend $10,000 on a computer.
Well, and that all comes down to the plan, right? You have to figure out why you're doing something before you invest in it. But
that's what I mean. Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about you investing in yourself and getting this like CNC, right? You have a plan. You have these like cutting boards you want to do. Like, it all makes sense that you could probably take the amount of cutting boards you need to do to pay off your machine.
Yep.
But you probably have a number. Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's where it is, investing in yourself. Like, Morley, it's a little different with the sewing machine because I don't think you have like a number of projects you want to do. But you saw, by buying this, that sewing machine, it was an investment in yourself, and you knew I'll be able to stitch things faster than if I were to like hand punch it and whatever.
So here's where I'm at right now. So I am in everything I'm doing with my own ventures. I'm basically operating as a skeleton crew. So like I'm working at a small workshop out of an apartment, editing on my laptop with very affordable editing software. It's bare bones to the max. So basically any equipment I get that is relevant to the things that I want to do is, I think, a worthwhile investment. Obviously that's a hyperbole, but like, as long as I'm not dropping thousands of dollars, like there's a lot of things that I could get that make a lot of sense. It's just kind of like a matter of timing for me.
Right. And space.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're one of the people who, if you had a big laser or a big CNC, you could utilize it, and you could also utilize it. You could actually make money with it. I think if somebody were to gift you the space and time, you would make them money, right? Like if someone said,
I do it for the Steam project. Right. I make the money.
But yeah, if somehow there was some, like, I don't know what it is, but there's someone who said, I want you to produce this many things for me, and then you could use this shop for yourself. I think you could maximize that offer. Like, it makes me
Well,
think of
thank
like
you.
Brett McAfee from Skull and Spade, and he talked about like how he kind of set up shop in Jimmy's place, and he was able to do the things for Jimmy, and then in the off time, have a little space covered out for himself, and and
I was
and
about to
kind
say
of
the same thing.
maximize that. And then he also is doing that with some blacksmiths down in California now. But it's like, he's his actual space is very small, but he's able to maximize other spaces. And I think
Yeah.
you could probably do that too. But
Yeah, I was gonna say Jimmy has
Yeah.
said
No,
that
and
so many times on making it.
yeah.
Like he has people that come work for him, and it's you must like you have these jobs I need you to do for me, and then my shop is all yours.
Yeah, no, I am doing that. Like I've got a couple projects coming up that are going to be done primarily in someone else's space. And that's how plenty of contractors work. They're
Yeah,
not
right.
operating out of like their own shop. They got the mobile tool van, and it's just as long as you have like a few strategic tools and the wherewithal and the plan, you can do a lot with that setup.
So with in thinking about that, is investing time with other people and making relationships and getting to know people in your area, is that investing in yourself?
You just made me think of something that I'm definitely going to tell you about in the after show related to that. But yes,
Oh,
100% it is. Because it, in the same way of like getting the 3D printer, it opens up things that you never thought possible that are like bigger than yourself, everything beyond your current capabilities.
very, very interesting.
Mhm.
I don't know what
What
to
are
say.
what are some investments you guys have made that you're like, that was a game changer, or ones that you want to make in the near future that you're pretty stoked about?
Or ones that you would like to regret that it wasn't
Sure.
a real one?
If we want to go back into the valley of negativity.
Uh,
I think one of the biggest like jumps that I ever did was buying my thicknesser.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't that big of a deal, but it is a game changer to when it comes to preparing wood and stuff.
Yeah, that's what. So, like, in starting up this woodworking class at the Steam Project, which hasn't really existed before this fall. Like, we've done woodworking projects and had the shop, but the in-person classes haven't really operated consistently for any amount of time at all. So this fall is really the first time that we've had like a real woodworking class. And in thinking about the sort of projects we've done, I was like, yeah, if we get a planer, which we don't have right now, we have plenty of other tools, but we don't have a planer. It would open up so many more real woodworking projects because you're not just dealing with what we get from the shops, as they say. But sorry, Adam, I kind of cut off. All right, you're clearly dealing with a child.
It's all good.
You're a good multitasker.
No, yeah, no. I was just saying that I haven't really invested that much in myself, to be honest. I mean, like I have like every tool that you could need, but I wouldn't call them all investments. The CNC was
but
an investment, and buying my editing program was an investment. But other than that, I wouldn't say much was an investment.
well, from my side, I think a lot of times I've invested is time. And I know it's like I just can't answer the
Yeah.
question, can I?
Time is definitely a massive investment for all of us.
Right. So
For sure.
I've allocated time to do things and learn things and try things and screw things up and try them again.
Yeah.
That I think that's the biggest investment in myself, is giving myself the time to do things. So, but I think that's something everyone needs to do in order to progress. But when I want to think of, like, if I think about a tool that I feel like was a game changer, the only thing I can really think of is buying good saw blades. Because I always just used whatever saw blade was on the saw, right? And then one day I just bought like this ultra fine cut Diablo, and I saw the difference. The
We've
same
all
with like
done that.
sharpening a tool is the same thing. And then you went, oh
Yeah.
my God, this thing actually cuts, right? Like the difference between the like garbage that, with no offense to my grandfather, but the garbage that I got from my grandfather, which had been sitting around rusting for like 20 years since he'd used it, because he passed away in his 90s and he wasn't out using his table saw in his 90s, and then I bought a brand new blade for that, and I went, oh, this thing can cut, right? Like, it was an amazing investment, and it really opened up my eyes.
Like,
In terms of, go ahead.
as I said, like buying a planer from the big box store, like a hand plane, but then actually sharpening it. It's such a big difference.
Yeah. Oh, just having a sharp. So I got a spoke shave from a Lee Valley spoke shave, a Veritas spoke shave, and I compared it to the spoke shave I'd been using before.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the hell was I using before?
I have a hand plane from the big box store, and I always was like, why do people enjoy this? Like, this is terrible to use. I don't get it. I just could not get into hand planes. And then I bought like a $200 block plane, like a really like nice expensive one. And the first cut, I'm like, oh my God, I can see why people love hand planes. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it is. When it works well, it's so good.
Yeah.
Well, before I talk about...
Whoa.
Go
Go
ahead.
on, Grant.
I was going to say, before I talk about what I'm planning or what I'd like to invest, if I were to invest later, I'll let other people talk.
I just want to quickly say, after that, I want to come back around to time. I think that's a good thing to talk about, but I want to hear what Morley has to say.
Nice. Now that you've both said what you're going to say after I'm done talking, I'd say cordless tools for me have been pretty huge. Without a consistent supply of power when I want to make dust. And even just being able to get things into my car when I go and pick them up from the lumberyard or Home Depot. That is massive because it literally changes what I'm able to make on my own. But one of the huge ones is just working at the Steam project right now, especially because we're doing a lot of product development. That Tesla Tensegrity project is like still, it's almost ready to go out. I'm going to have to actually tomorrow, I'm going to film a new video for the version 8 or whatever it's on right now. And just coming up with ideas, prototyping them, having other people comment on them. Like, you see why art school is so valuable, because when people talk about the critiques they do in classes, like having other people pick apart your projects and like force you to take it to a place where it's like really usable to a third party is very valuable. And wanting to do more product development myself, it's every day I just come home with like lessons upon lessons.
Maybe that should be like a whole topic in itself for another episode. And if you guys listening would like to hear us talking about critiquing, then let us know on Instagram or email us or whatever else. Get a hold of us somehow. If you want to hear that episode, tell us.
Yeah. And it's also like,
interrupt.
It's also because it is so close to everything I do on my own. It's forced me to think about everything I do on my own a lot more like a business, because it's such like a one-to-one comparison. It's not like apples to oranges. It's more like apples to Honeycrisp apples, or like oranges to tangerines. Cause I come home and like, okay, so we were doing this at work. Why am I not doing that? Why am I being so like, up in the air, like artist, whatever? Like, no, let's talk about, let's do some bills of materials and make this a bit more of a rigorous process. So yeah, that investment is great. And I feel like, so yeah, go on.
It's so weird to hear you say the job I have is an investment.
Yeah, it is. I'm putting time into it, and I'm going to get. Yeah, but I'm saying like the things I'm going to get out of it is not this. Well, I am getting paid and it's paying my living expenses, but the long-term benefits, that's what an investment is. An investment pays off over time.
That's right.
I agree.
And conversely, like, when I was working at the scenery shop, I was learning some carpentry skills, but I would not call that an investment in the same way that this job was. Like, that job was not giving me things that I could take it gave every experience is valuable and teaches you lessons, but it was not giving me the same level of lessons and just ideas that this job is.
Right. It wasn't the direction you wanted to go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so this is, I don't know if I said this on this podcast, but I was saying this to Eden. When I was at that job, I felt like a dumber version of myself. Like straight up. Like like when you're doing something for 8 hours a day where you're like not using the parts of your brain that like really get you excited and where you feel like you're being used, like I would come home and feel dumber because I just wasn't being stimulated in the same way.
It's funny you say that, because thinking of it of another way as well. I was with my mate the other day. We went to, I don't know, a shop to get food, and there was a light hanging from the roof, and the 4 brackets holding the light up weren't straight. And I just looked at him and said, "This is why I can't be a contractor. I can't deal with like it. It's not hard to get stuff straight. I just don't like." But I would feel so dumb because everything has to be so rushed that you don't have time to make everything straight. And that's exactly how I would feel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to devalue your work just to get through the day.
Damn. That's heavy.
But it's true. Like, you would have had that with the scenery shop. They're not like, we want you to make... We've talked about this before, actually. Like,
yeah.
We don't want you to make this box nice. We just need this box done.
Yeah, and it takes a bit of a toll.
Yeah.
Because you're not putting out as much quality of work.
For sure.
And it's, it's fine. You're doing something else. Like, it's a different type of work. So you just have to kind of like shift your perspective. But yeah, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, on that note, what I'm hoping to get one day is a drum sander. That, I think, would change the game if I ever want to sell things. Because sanding sucks. But it's just more, it's not even just sanding sucks. It's just like getting a consistent sand across something is so difficult. If I were to make cutting boards, I made them with just using my planer and then sanding them with random orbit sander. But if I were to throw them through on a drum sander, I just think they'd come out so much nicer. And I've used a drum sander a couple times, and it's slow AF. It's the slowest thing I've ever used.
It's still going to be faster than yourself, but...
Oh, like faster than sanding, but slow is like, it's slow, right? Like if you watch the pencil thing, I literally filmed like 3 hours of sanding. Yeah, right. Because I was like, it's ridiculous how much sanding. Because it's the first time I'd use a drum sander. I was like, this is so cool, right? And I just kind of like set the thing in the side and like had it running at like 30 times. I went back on it and I took the 30 times footage and sped it up 4 more times in the editor, and it was still slow.
Oof.
Yeah, oof.
Got to re-render and go to 16 times.
Yeah, I do that too.
Sorry, not to segue away, but your editing program won't let you go past 4.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I think
mine's unlimited.
It's just totally dependent on graphics, like your graphics capability of the program in your computer. I think
I've done 4,000% before without an issue.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do. It has to do with we have the cheapest version of Vegas.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So
that's something an investment. I need to just straight up buy a full suite editing software.
Yeah, that's what I did. But then even free DaVinci Resolve didn't limit that.
Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I'm okay with rendering it and then rendering it again to get to 16 times. If I need to go past 16 times, I probably didn't film it with enough light and enough frames to do it. Like it just, it looks like garbage at that much more.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So Grant, a new camera is not in your near future?
No, I really look at it and go, the only new camera I would get is a new GoPro, and there's no reason for me to get a new GoPro. I have zero interest in getting into better lighting, better like figuring out like I took photography class in high school and got nominated like in a like provincial competition for the photography I did. I have forgotten every single thing I learned there. I don't care about it anymore. I have zero desire to learn anything about it. I want to point and shoot, and I want it to catch everything, which is exactly what a GoPro does.
All right.
Interesting.
Sounds good.
I would like...
I was just going to say, I would love to get some good lights, but I haven't really taken the time to research the more budget friendly options. Because like, yeah, I talked to a photographer. They're like, yeah, you can get like an aperture key light for like $1,000. I'm like, great, maybe, but I need to see if that's worth it.
See, I have enough trouble just having to set up a camera. I don't want lighting. Like, I just want my shop to be lit well.
Right. So
I don't want to
Abby
have to
got
deal
me
with
for
it.
Christmas.
You just said I don't want to get lighting. I just want good lighting.
No, I mean, like, I don't want to have to set up lights every time I want to shoot. I just want the place to be well lit, so no matter where I shoot the camera,
I see.
it's bright.
So Abby bought me for Christmas a ring light and another light for like because and she still comments on this day because I don't use them for the same reason, Adam. I don't want to set them up all the time. I use the ring light here on the podcast, but she bought me another light, and she's like, "If you just use that light," and I'm like, "But it doesn't. I have to set up a whole second tripod for the second light, which makes it like I'm not going to do it. It needs to attach to the camera, or else."
I was going to say, if only you had a camera that it attaches to.
Oh, or
is it a big light?
It's made to go on its own like tripod.
Okay.
But I could if I had a 3D printer, I could 3D print something that like made it so that there's an attachment beside my GoPro or whatever.
I'm sure you could buy something like that. But again, you've got to aim your camera, you've got to aim your light. Like it's just too much work.
Grant, you're using a ring light in the only setting where you should use a ring light. There's no other place where you should be using a ring light.
Well, when I'm doing my talking heads, it would work as well.
Yeah, but if you're only using a ring, like, so currently you have lighting behind you, you have other lighting in the room, so you have some background, but like,
right.
I'm on natural,
I guess,
baby.
For a talking head, yeah, exactly what you're doing. But you would not want to use one of those for filming, making video.
Oh no, totally. Yeah, I wouldn't want to use it all the time, but I do when I do my intro and outro. A ring light would help. That's exactly where Abby goes, "You look like garbage," and I'm like, "That's how I look. I don't know what to tell you."
While we're talking about talking heads, I just want to point out how beautiful Dave looked last week. His camera setup is amazing.
Yeah. Did you ask him what his webcam was?
I haven't yet, because I want to message him about Kickstarter and everything as well, but I just haven't got around to it. Well, I'll talk about what I want to invest in. So I also want to get a drum sander because like cutting boards and all that sort of stuff, but we want to invest in a laser. Buying a CNC was great, but for a lot of things that my wife wants to make, a laser is going to be better.
Sweet. Yeah, they're getting cheaper.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like we got these like blanks. Like I could cut that out on the CNC. It's acrylic. It's clear. Mm-hmm. I could cut that out on the CNC, but on a laser, it'd be so much easier and better.
Sick. All right. Well, on that note, where are we? I want to thank our Patreon supporters, especially Brent Jarvis from Clean Cut Woodworking. And I believe Vincent Ferrari is also a top level supporter now. So thank you guys for your support, and thank you everyone who supports us there. They also get access to the after show, or you do if I'm talking to you as a patron, which is usually quite good if I do say so myself, as well as a leather keychain. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go to patreon.com/clamp. And there's no easy segue for this. Grant told me that it's Vincent Ferrari and Because We Make, not just Vincent Ferrari, who's a top level supporter. I just want to rip this off like a Band-Aid because we got a review and it's another New Jersey accent. And these are so hard. Like I watched an accent video and I know this is going to be bad. So let's just get it over with. Damn. Okay. See, now I'm drawing a blank. Now I don't even know what any accent sounds like. All right, let's just try this. These guys have a chat about a variety of topics, and their perspectives are interesting. If you like making, give this pod... Why do you say podcast is pod? Give this pod a try. I promise Grant will keep you entertained. This is really bad. I'm just going to speak normally. Since Morley has to read this in my...
Keep going. That was great.
I'll go back. Since Morley has to read this in my New Jersey accent, I can almost guarantee he will screw up the accent and do some overdone TV-style New Jersey accent that is clearly Staten Island. Let's see how he does. Would be funny to hear Grant and Adam give their version of the accents, but it would only let me leave a 5-star review, so I'll add the other 2 here. Anyway, good luck and keep up the good work. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say.
I just want to point out that as soon as you said he will screw up the accent and do some overdone, as soon as you said the words overdone, your accent just went so much more.
Yeah,
It just went really over. Yeah.
That was really great. I would love to try it. I listened to some How to Speak Jersey, and then it didn't. None of it worked. All it said is like, don't say Jersey as Joyzy, because nobody says it that way except for on TV.
See, I only said that because I just forgot everything that I had watched in the heat of the moment. So I was like, that's a thing. I'll say it.
I wouldn't even know where to start to try and sound American, but yet Jersey.
Yeah.
So that was from
hard thing
Keith
with impressions.
Drennan.
Is you have to just you have to just practice. Sorry, Grant. Yes.
That was
from
Keith Drennan from the Working Hands podcast and Blackthorn Concepts. And if you actually go listen to his accent, which I also did just to try and prepare to try and do this, I went, you just sound like Morley. I would have gone like Morley with like a little bit,
little
like
twang,
drunk Morley or something.
Thanks for not telling me who it was, so I couldn't do that.
I did. I told you in the Discord, but anyways, let's not infight on the podcast.
All right. Clampmendations. For my Clampmendation this week, so we are getting set up to do enameling at the Steam project. So I've been researching that and collecting all the information, and we got a kiln on order, found an enamelist in Toronto who's setting us up with some supplies. So I've been doing a ton of research, and I reached out to Emily Joyce with a bunch of questions, and she's been super helpful. Everything I've asked, she's gone like above and beyond to answer all my questions. And the more I've learned about enameling, the more impressed I am by her work. I know it's like I feel like it's one of the more niche, do I want to say? Maybe one of the less mainstream making among the online maker community. But if you're at all interested in it, I would highly encourage just like researching about the whole process, because it's super interesting. Like the chemistry of it. Like if you really wanted to, you can get a kiln for, it's an investment. It's like $1,000 for a good quality kiln. But yeah, just getting like the chemicals and the copper discs required, and just I'm so excited to start doing it. Hopefully the kiln comes in soon, but it's like pottery right now. It's so hard to get a pottery kiln or pottery supplies because it's really blown up during the pandemic as potters have moved out of group studios. So it's trickled over to like jewelry makers in the same way, because it's like a tangentially related industries. A lot of the same kiln makers make both, and a lot of people have gotten into enameling as well. So hopefully we get it soon, but it is supply chain issues for sure.
If you want to hear more from Emily Joyce, go listen to episode 56.
Yeah, go do that.
Oh, I'm next. I have a weird one this week. So there's a little backstory to it, but I am going to clampmendate a watch company called Nixon Watches. It's an Australian-based company. So my watch that I have here, I've had it for about 10 years. I've had probably 3 issues with it, and their customer service is what every customer service should be. It is amazing. I called them the other day because there was a pin had broken on the clasp when it closes. And I rang the guy and he's like, oh, can you send me some pictures? I sent him some pictures. He goes, oh, I'll just send you a whole new clasp. Like no proof of purchase, like nothing. And this was on like 4 p.m. on a Friday, and I had it on 10 a.m. on Monday. It was at my front door.
Wow.
Like amazing. And like this isn't the first time. Like the 3 times I've called them, they just send out a new part. Like they don't ask for proof of purchase, nothing. Just send out spare part and they're done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you ever called Bluntstone? Because they're Australian.
No. Don't even know what that is.
Oh. You don't know what Bluntstone is? The
No.
boot company?
No.
Oh.
Bluntstone.
Okay. Yeah. They're
I
boots.
get-
Morley we were talking about them
Grant,
earlier.
you don't
in the
know this
episode.
random
Yeah, but I
Vancouver,
didn't know it was
random
Australian,
Vancouver
yeah.
company? It's a whole country, man.
Blindside.
Anyways, I'm gonna Clampmendate something different this week. I'm gonna clamp 3x3 customs Tamar over there. She has a nice accent. I hope one day she writes a review so I can hear Morley try it out. She can say and you can hear him try and say drawer.
What's her
Anyways.
accent?
I think it's Boston, Massachusetts. She says drawer in the wrong
Draw?
way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then she made a bunch of drawers, and then she got like a bunch of comments about it. Anyways, it's great. She recently did a video of 5 gift ideas for woodworking projects using up, gift ideas for the holidays. But there's 5 of them in there. But one of them that I really liked was this little tray thing that she made, which had a bunch of different size tray pieces that you could take out so you could replace it. You could either do chips and dip, or you could do a bunch of different charcuteries or whatever, like charcuterie boards, whatever you call them. Anyways, cool video, 5 different gifts. Go check it out.
All right. Well,
Oh yes,
on
that
note,
accent though.
I think the only thing left to do is to thank Mr. TF Turning for the theme music. And if you want to see, never mind. If you want to see Grant's deliciously visually appealing cover art, you can see it on the Clampstagram. But I think it's at Clampcast still. It's just that the name of the account is Clampstagram.
Clampstagram is taken. I discovered. So the name's still
Who took
Clampcast.
Clampstagram?
I don't know.
What the heck?
I don't know. But so we have the handle Clampstagram, but our name is Clampcast.
At
Wow.
Clampcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to Confederation of Laboratory Medicine and Pathology Students.
That's right. Yeah.
Pathobiology students.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is not what I expected.
I remember I looked it up.
Now with an
Yeah.
incredibly creative name.
That's why I couldn't think of it, because I knew it was something.
I think they deserve it. They seem to put a lot of thought into that. Okay. Well, don't go to at Clampstagram. Go to at Clampcast. And probably follow at Clampstagram when you're at it, because it sounds like they deserve it. You can also find us on YouTube. Clamp, search that or something like that. And you're listening to this podcast. So thanks for listening to wherever you listen to podcasts at. Yeah.
Bye.
See you.
Goodbye. He's from Because We Make. Sorry, I was typing in the chat. Well, I forgot to put it in there. I'm sorry.
And before we go to
you know what?
Clampmendations,
Cut that out, Adam. Cut that out.
he's not going to cut it out.
I know.
You say that
Before
every
we go to-
time, and I never do.